This is what I believe is that, things come in the sometimes the most unpredictable packages, and you just have to be open, right? Because if you're not open to things, you'll miss a lot of opportunities, right? And so even for myself, my life has come in the weirdest packages. Yeah. But it was me taking that time to just say, okay, I'm open. I'm going to take a look at this. I need to investigate, because if you're closed, you're going to miss everything.
Okay, so let's start with you telling people who you are, because I love for people to introduce themselves and say, how would you want to be introduced? So you tell us who you are and what it is you do.
So my name is Robina Abramson-Walling, and I'm a mother, a health and wellness expert. I am a woman that wants to help other women just get unstuck with life. And I think I do that by helping them really reinvent and recreate who they are and who they want to be.
And that's so interesting that you lead with this, like a mother, a wife. Mm-hmm. You're an amazing mother, because I see you with your kids all the time, an amazing wife. But the fact that so much of who you are and what you do is about empowering others. Mm-hmm. Where does that come from and why?
I think it's because I had kids when I was 27. I started, and I had pretty much 3 back-to-back, right? So the kids are 14, 13, and 11, and then there's my daughter.
You were not playing.
No, I wasn't playing. I was like, we're going to do this. We're going to go hard and just get it done. So in the process of that, I was a nurse before. I don't know if you know that.
I know you have a master's in nursing.
I do.
You just don't have just a degree.
I do.
You have the master's.
I do. And I worked in nursing, and I loved it, but I left nursing to raise my children. I didn't want anyone else to raise them. And for me, because I left my career, I also, married someone that had a different religion. So I converted to a different religion. And I just really woke up one day and I was like, I don't even know who I am anymore. Right? I had gained a lot of weight. I really stopped really caring about me because I was giving to everybody else. So I think I started competing. So I decided to go to a gym and lose the weight. And I was noticing I was getting results, and people were asking me, what are you doing? And then I became a personal trainer. And I think I was just searching, right? I was searching for a way to not only help myself, but help other people. So I started competing, and I really just realized that
This is competing in, you were doing
fitness.
figure?
Yes. No, I wasn't doing
fitness.
Figure. I was doing fitness modeling.
Okay.
So it's like a step down from that. You're not as hard, but it was all about stage presence and representing yourself and how you speak.
You're not as hard, but it is no less challenging to get that body, right?
It is tough, right?
Yeah.
Because it's discipline. It takes a decision, it's sacrifice, and it's a lot, right? So I started competing, and I really just realized that I was not happy. Because when you compete, you really push yourself beyond your limits. You don't know what you're capable of, because you're just, against all odds. Like, you're eating, but you're not eating. Towards the end of it, it's like you're eating for a purpose, right? It's not like you're eating for fun. You're eating to get to the next step. You're taking your body to the next level. So I just realized that I need to recreate who I am. And that was hard, because I hit a lot of resistance, right? And it was, I really believe that when you're put in a box by people and yourself, once you break out of that box, there's a lot of backlash, girl. And it's family, it's friends, it's, yourself, self-doubt. And I really just decided that I'm going to choose me. And that courage came through, a decision to lead my life with my heart and not with my brain.
That's a tough decision to make that decision. Yeah. And what was it that you feel gave you the courage to live with your heart?
So I believe that everyone should be living a life of passion, right? It doesn't matter what avenue you choose, how you live your life. You need to be doing something you love to do, regardless of what it is, right? If you love to paint, you should be doing that, right? So I just decided that I did not have any passion. I was waking up every morning. I was living through my kids. I loved my children, and I was passionate about them, and I was married to my best friend, but I didn't have passion. I didn't have direction. And that's what I needed, right? Especially I was, about to go into my late 30s. And, I believe that times are changing. Like, nobody wants to be sleepwalking through life anymore. And if they are sleepwalking, they just don't know how not to do it. They don't know, right? They don't know if things are possible. So when I decided, because I believe everything starts with a decision, when I decided, I was like, I'm going to do this no matter what. And that's all it took.
And so what did you do?
Well, so I left my marriage, which was very hard. And I met someone else along the way, and I just decided to build my character, right? And how I did that was I had to build my mind. I think that we don't understand, or we maybe not brought up the way to believe that everything is created in your mind, right? Everything. So where we are right now, this has already been predetermined by a decision we've made in our mind before. So I believe that the more you spend building your mindset and building your thought process, the better you're equipped to, develop whatever life that you want.
So what are some of the things that you practically did to build your mindset? So you've made this decision, You've left your marriage, you're now on this path. What are those things that you actually went and did? So
I was listening to The Secret. That was the first thing that I sort of fell into. And really understanding that aspect of, thoughts become things, and what are you putting out there, right? And, coming from a West Indian background, we weren't really taught that, right? We weren't really taught, we were taught, go to school, get a really good job, make good money, and be okay to pay your bills, right? It wasn't like abundant thinking by any means, because my parents they did the best that they could, and we didn't live bad. We were just comfortable, right? We kept up with everybody, right? And I think that it was just the decision to change my thought process and really change the mind chatter, because there was a lot that was the direction that I changed. So that was the first step, listening to The Secret. And then it was more things. Then I started fueling my mind with other things like The Universe Has Your Back, Gabrielle Bernstein. I listened to Abraham Hicks. I listen to them all the time. And it's just about doing that. So what am I filling my mind with? That was number one. Then the next step was, okay, the mind chatter is still there. So I had to learn how to silence that, right? And that's that self-doubt and the ability to question who you are, what you're doing. Like, oh, who do you think you are to have a podcast? Who's going to listen to you, right? That's just the self-doubt that's always in your mind. So it was also about, okay, how do I silence that? So there's a book by Michael Singer called The Untethered Soul.
Beautiful book. Love that
Beautiful book. And that's all about that process. So I believe that there's a lot of layers that need to be peeled. And it's just, you got to find what your step one is. And then once you find your step one, then you got to build on that, right? So the next thing for me was then, okay, it was meditating, which was so hard for me, right? Especially
that going the minute.
Yeah, but I think that we all believe that meditating is you stop talking or stop thinking for 30 minutes. That's like the misconception that people have. Like, you can meditate in a minute. It's just to be in silence so you can like recalibrate, refresh, like just be still. And I think that that's something that a lot of people don't get. And meditating is praying. That's another form of meditating. They say meditation is different than praying because one, you're speaking to God, and the other one, you're hearing God. Right? And then after that, it became journaling. And then I kind of integrate them all together.
And so how have you, like, what have you seen in the women that you interact with in terms of where do we get stuck? What is it that keeps us all stuck? Because that's a big step. I know so many women who were where you were, where they know they're unhappy. They know they're not living with passion, but that step is hard. Yeah.
So it's fear. So fear really, it just paralyzes us, right? And then if you know that fear is really what our mind is telling us, because we have what's called the critter brain, and that's our primitive brain that basically says, okay, whatever you do, okay, don't move. You're good where you are, right? And if you take that step,
stay safe,
don't
right?
take that step because we're going to be uncomfortable. Right? So the primitive brain or the critter brain is the main function of our brain is to make us be safe, right? To keep us safe. So if we are always in this constant loop of where we live, how we live, what is normal for us, if we take that step outside of there, that's where the fear paralyzes us. That's where the unknown takes place. And that's why people don't take that step, because there's like 1,000 unknowns in that radius, right? And we don't like unknown, right? We have to have a plan because we think that this is how everything's supposed to unfold, right? If you're going to move, okay, well, we have to call the movers. We have to make sure we have another place. We have to make sure we have first and last month's rent. We have to make sure we know the utilities. Like we literally map everything out. But the process of becoming who you're becoming is not about you trying to fit all the pieces into the puzzle. It's about you sitting back and watching the pieces all there and saying, okay, let me just surrender to this for a minute. What's meant to happen is going to happen. Maybe not all the pieces are there, right? And maybe they are. Maybe they're all going to fit perfectly, but I just got to let it unfold.
So you talked about, how other people will respond. In your situation, how did you get other people, I know it's a process, on board with the new you? Because I think part of what what makes other people uncomfortable is that they're used to you being this way, and then suddenly you're a different person and they don't know how to react to that or how to respond to that. So how did you help other people, whether it be your family, friends in your circle, get comfortable with where you were going and who you were being?
Well, I think you need to always show up for you. Okay, so if you're at one stage in your life, and let's say you're making some change. So it even could be when you cut your hair the first time, right? People are like, oh, I don't know how to respond to this. Some people loved it, some people didn't, some people wouldn't tell you, right? But this is here to stay. So they sort of get used to it over time. And the other thing is you have to maybe prep some people and say, listen, I get that you're uncomfortable with where I'm headed, okay? But I need to do this for me. Whether you're going to support me or not, I'm still going to do this, right? And I think that them understanding that this is not just a moment, you've actually thought this through, this is what's going to happen, I think that helps ease them. And it's also time, right? Because a lot of people make very irrational decisions, and in time, they fall apart, right? And then they kind of, put their tails behind their legs and they're like, oh, I maybe shouldn't have made that decision, right? So they're just also protecting us. They're also just saying, I don't know if this is going to be for real, but I want to see how this is going to pan out. So just you sticking to your guns and really believing that this is what I need to do for me, that will help them digest it all.
Now, a big part of what you do is you support other women. You talked about how you support other women. How have you turned that into your life's work, your passion? Like, what are the things that you do to support other women?
Well, there's a few things. I think part of it is listening, because a lot of us don't have that outlet. Like, I came from a background where women didn't support or celebrate women. I think we're really in a different time right now where women, especially women of color, did not support each other. And now things are changing so much because we all see that we're better together. This is not just about you, or this is not just about me. This is about us celebrating each other. So part of the thing I like to do is, first of all, listen. I want to know, how can I serve you? Like, because any important or successful business person is a servant leader. It's not just about making money. Okay, so how can I serve you? Is there something that I have? Maybe it's a resource. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's somebody that I know that can be a referral for you. How can I help you build what you're doing? Right? And I think that that's a really big way. And then the other thing is mentorship. Right? We want to lead by example. So a lot of women that I see in my practice, they see how much my life has changed and how much, like, what I've gone through. And I think a lot of times they want that for themselves. They just don't know how to get it. And I think leading by example is a big part of it.
So leading by example, you have 4 beautiful, beautiful, you have 3 boys, lots of energy, and a little girl. What do you want them to learn from seeing you and how you're living your life?
Well, I want my children to believe that they can get anything in life that they want. And even if there's a lot of resistance, and even if nobody thinks they can do it, I really believe that you can create the life you've always wanted. It's just a matter of you being bold enough to decide. That's what I want my kids to know. And I think they do know that.
So, and I see you, I stalk you on social media. I see you encouraging your kids and how each of them has a different personality. Even just from seeing you on social media, I know each of your kids has a different personality, different skill, different interests. And I see you encouraging them to be who they really are. Like, what's your dream for you?
For myself?
Yeah.
So my dream for myself is to just live a life of financial abundance and time abundance, because really time is more the wealth than finances is. And I think that most of us are stuck with the thought that we have to work to pay our bills, right? I mean, that's the way we've been brought up.
We're taught, yeah, exactly.
And really and truly, this day and age, like, that's the way things are, because people don't have time anymore. They don't have the ability to go and hang out with friends like our parents did. We went to friends' houses on the weekend. People have 3 and 4 jobs now because they can't afford that. So, time abundance for me is the most important thing in my life. I want my kids to know that I can be there on a drop of a dime. And I am there, and they know that, but I also have to work, right? Because there has to be that balance. But what I really want for me is, first of all, I want to feel just free. Be able to move when I want to move, not move when I don't want to move. I want to have no restrictions. And I want that for other people too, because most people don't know what that is like.
That's so true. We don't know what it's like because we've been conditioned to this life of work this many hours and all of that.
Yes.
So for you, what's next? Like, what's the big thing that you're working towards? I know you've got your coaching business, you've got the personal fitness business. What's the next big dream for you?
So I've thought about it, because I think that, like I said, back when you were a child, you were living, my father would say, you live to catch your ass, right? Like, you would just live day to day. And for me, now it's about, okay, how can I give back to other people? So, part of what we do with Arbonne is we really teach ourselves to dream bigger. And I would love to be, a part of something bigger. So I'm still trying to figure out exactly what that looks like. But I've thought about building a school in another country. My mother lives in Jamaica. My father's from Trinidad. There is, lack. They don't have what we have there. So I would love to partner with people and do something along those lines, because we need to see that we are giving back. And I think that we're in a society where it's all about taking. Right? That now we've also come to a point where we're not only thinking about us, we're starting to think about other people too. And I think that that's really important, especially with the next generation that's coming up. They need to learn that.
So you talked a little bit earlier about how, as women, and particular women of color, how we're starting to support each other more. Who are some women for you who are inspirations, who you feel you look up to, or who've supported you?
Well, you would be one of them. And I would have to say, Sandra, because the moment that I met you, you are like this light. You are a light. And I think that most people, that's what they aspire to, right? They want to be the person that lights up a room and not like turns them off when they walk in a room. So you would be one. Nkechi would be another one who I love. Women of color that I personally know or don't know.
It doesn't have to be women of color. Even people who are in the public eye that you may not personally know, but who are women who inspire you?
I really love Gabrielle Bernstein. I think it's because I've tried to follow so many spiritual teachers and I've had a hard time relating, because I believe that you kind of have to build that just like a muscle, your spirituality. So when you're just getting in, it's like, how do you change the way you think? Like, you're believing in the universe, you're believing in your thoughts and your manifest. Like, that's a lot for someone to swallow, right? So to start off, I think she's a great gateway for people. She's very relatable. Her story is very, it's amazing how she got to where she is. I would say she's one of them. I would say Michelle Obama obviously is like amazing. There's just a lot, right? There's a lot of women that we know locally that are making a huge impact on people's lives. I have a friend, Alexandra Sauvé, who I think is like a phenomenal woman. She's younger than I am, and yet she teaches me something every day. You know, you want to be around people that help you vibrate, like get to a different level, you know, because your vibe is you give off what your tribe is, right? So you got to surround yourself with people that are, I want to say like almost like a higher vibration than you. So people that, you know, if you want to do something and they're doing it, those are the people you got to hang out with, right? You imitate greatness. And so that's what I try to do.
That's why you're sitting in this chair, because the very first moment we met in our interaction, I was like, I want to get to know this woman, because I truly do think you talk about aura and energy and all of that. I just think you're such a phenomenal woman, and I see you. This is one thing you're not going to talk about, so I'm going to talk about it, about how as an entrepreneur, how successful you've been in a business in a very short period of time, and you're literally internationally successful in your business, and that in a short period of time.
Yes.
Like how did you do that? If you had to give advice in terms of what was it that it took to be as successful as you've been in the short period of time that you have?
So for me, I had a big why. Right? And I think that anything in life that you do, you have to have a good reason. And it's not like a superficial reason, like I want to make money. It has to be like something to your core. And for me, I wanted to be able to be where my family needed me to be when they needed me. And at the time when I started my business, my husband needed surgery on his shoulders. And, you know, I felt threatened. I felt like our family was going to be in trouble. So I needed to figure out how I was going to make something work, but not take away from my kids, and not take away from, like, I didn't want to build a life where my kids were being, you know, I had to be around my kids just around my business. I want my business to work around my family. And so for me, I had to really figure out what that was. And then as my business grew more and more, it wasn't about me anymore. I was getting texts from women saying, you've changed my life, because now I see myself in a different light. I wasn't able to talk in front of my school. She's a teacher, and now I'm able to do that. Or, you know, you've believed in me when no one else has believed in me. That is the gift of what I do. It's not about the paycheck. And that is, I think, where we talk about servant leader. Like, you have to understand that in order to get anywhere in life, you have to help people. It's bigger picture.
That's a powerful thing that you said. It's more than, it's one of the things. My father passed away, my father passed away in June. And that for me, if I had to boil down his 74 years on this earth and say, what's the greatest lesson he taught me? He told me that he said success was it only meant something if it was about more than just you. If it was in service of other people, that's what true success was. And that's what I see in you and what you're saying.
And, you know, I had to learn that I have to leave a legacy here. We are here to live one life. And I had a friend that passed away 2 weeks ago. And the funeral home was just full of people. And I was like, this girl lived. Because people were just coming and coming and coming. And you got to think, you know, I always talk about death is the biggest teacher that we have. And we all go through life and we don't really know how to live. We don't. It's like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Or I'm having a fight with that person, I'm not going to talk to them. Death is the biggest teacher. And if someone told you you had 24 hours to live, would you be happy with what you've done? And would you be happy about what you're going to do within those 24 hours? And so I've really had to go back in my life and undo a lot of things, right? Because we all have self-limiting beliefs. We all have stories we've been told as we grow up. And I've really had to undo a lot of that because it was heaviness, right? We all have heaviness we take with us. And so how are you letting go of that baggage so that you can just keep moving, right? And like you really got to think about what I'm doing. Is that going to give somebody else something? That's the biggest message about life and what we're doing here on Earth. Because, I read this book. I don't know if you read it. Light is the New Black.
No, I haven't heard that.
And it's about finding your gift. That's what our purpose here in life is. You have a gift. I have a gift. Most people don't know what their gift is. You got to find that gift. And once you find it, you have to share it with people. That's the purpose of life. And that book is amazing because it's very easy to read and very easy to understand, but yet it gives you a powerful message at the end of it. So you got to investigate your life and find out, what are you doing? Like, is this serving your greater purpose? Do you really love what you do, or are you just doing it? If you don't love what you do, find a way to do a little bit of what you love, just to kind of balance out that horribleness that you're feeling inside. Because a lot of people are living out of equilibrium, right? They're just surviving. Like, we are meant to live.
So true.
It's crazy.
Talking about living,
yes.
So I'm hosting my very first live event, and I decided to call it Woman on Fire because for me it was about, I felt like that truly embodied for me what I wanted it to be. Mm-hmm. What would that mean to you when I say Woman on Fire? Mm-hmm. How are you a woman on fire? Unstoppable.
I literally believe that if there is anything that my mind can see, I can achieve. And I think that every woman is on fire and has that ability, but just the flame is not ignited yet, right? So what are we doing to help other women ignite that flame? I pretty much understand and I know where you're going to be headed with it, but I believe that your event will do that for people, right? And that's about, what are you fueling your mind with? Who are you surrounding yourself with? What are the stories you're telling yourself? Because that will fuel your flame.
Okay, I'm going to ask you last question. So this platform is called Ndini, and I named it that because in my mother tongue, I'm from Zimbabwe, and Shona is one of the languages that we speak. And it means I am, because it's that whole, you determine your destiny with your thoughts, your actions. And so finish the sentence for me. I am.
Strong, brave, courageous, unstoppable, fire, boundless, abundant.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
It was so wonderful
grateful
to finally get to sit down with you and ask you stuff, and you can leave the skirt. Here's what I'd love to ask you as our community. So I want to know from you, who do you want me to have on the show? Who would you like me to interview? Who are some of the amazing women whose stories you would like for us to share on this platform? If you have any fantastic ideas, and even better, if you can connect me with them, please comment, leave your comment, or DM me and tell me who are some incredible stories I should be sharing on this platform. And the other ask that I have of you is for you to subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media. We're on Instagram and Facebook, and share. Please share. If you find any of our interviews inspiring, please share them with your friends and family.